Hello and welcome to another episode of Balls Brew, the flagship sportscast here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. My name is Rod Morgan. I tend to be the host for most shows you hear on the network. With me, as always, is my tag team partner in North Carolina. This is an audio podcast, so you can't see him right now, but he's literally twisting his shirt around his hand and spinning it like a helicopter. North Carolina, raise up. It's Chris King.
Hello, Internet. Hey, Rod. How's it going?
You're a big Petey Pablo guy, are you not, Chris?
Petey Pablo's my guy.
Absolutely. And if we're talking NFL, which we absolutely are here in week 3, we got to have our guy, the handicapper, formerly known as the Anonymous Gambler. And I need to just call him red hot right now because he was 3-0 last week, coming off a 2-1 week 1 for a grand total of 5-1 through 2 weeks. Mr. Williams, you're riding high.
What's up, guys? Doing all right. 3-0 on the picks. 1-1 on the props. Feel like I got a little unlucky with Hooper there because Landry got hurt in the second quarter. Hooper went over our total by like 4 or 5 yards. So if Landry doesn't get hurt, I think and maybe go 2-0 on the props. But which I have 2 really good props for this week. So I'm more excited about the props this week. So I'm trying to get everybody 2-0 on props.
I was going to say, look at you already squashing the picks. You're 5-1 and you're already squashing the picks. Mr. King, how did we do on the props last week?
We were both 1-1 last week. Hooper just went over by 4.5 yards for Williams, and also Terrence Marshall got 3 catches, so he hit the over on his 2.5. Tua got hurt last week, which then canceled out any chance of him getting 13.5 rushing yards, so I missed out on that. But I did hit on Leonard Fournette getting over 34.5. He actually got 52 yards last week.
I remember your Tua bet. I think the universe kept telling you to not bet Tua, Chris, because that bet line kept moving on you. You're like, you know what, I'm going to stick with it. And then I think you got your just desserts right there.
Probably.
Yeah. But let's stick with you, Chris, while I got you on the line here. What was your big takeaway from week 2? We're going to do that after every week. What's the one thing you wanted to bring up on the pod here this week?
That parity is still alive and thriving in the NFL. You have 3 teams that maybe don't have a defense to compete this year. But other than that, any team can beat any other team on any given Sunday. It is fantastic.
So you're really in for you don't like the favorites, right? You don't like knowing who's going to come out and dominate every week. You like this absolute just crapshoot. Let me throw some dice at a board and see what comes up.
Right. I mean, Cincinnati can go out and beat Minnesota, who no one thought they could, and then turn around and lose to the Bears. And now they're going to Pittsburgh, and who knows what's going to happen.
Speaking of the Bears, then, let's go to Mr. Williams on this real quick, because I don't think he wanted to talk about this, but I'm going to make him talk about this. Mr. Williams, you guys are finally getting what you want. You're getting an actual real-life quarterback prospect, not named Mitch Trubisky, starting for you this week. How excited are you?
Yeah, after I crapped all over the Bears last week, and then they go out and play pretty good. Had a couple pick sixes there. I will say this. I think Burrow was playing hurt in that game. But I will give the Bears credit because they were sitting on all his routes, and I think they knew that he was hurt, and I think that's why they got those 2 pick sixes. But back to Fields, yeah, it's exciting. I don't have high expectations for the team this year, so I'm just hoping that Fields stays healthy the whole year. I'm worried that he kind of holds the ball a little bit too long with our 2 terrible offensive tackles. That worries me a lot. He took a really bad hit in the preseason against Buffalo, actually knocked his helmet clear off his head, and I was like, oh, God. So I just hope that he stays healthy. He's going back to his hometown or his home state in Ohio, so that should be fun, and we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, it's finally exciting just for a little bit to actually have a quarterback that could possibly do some things for the Bears.
Chris, what do you think our buddies up in the region are thinking of themselves right now? We had Ed and Jose on, and they had differing opinions on this. Jose said he'd be happy if Fields never saw the field, and Ed was like, let's get the kid out there. How do you think our boys up in the region are feeling right now?
I think they're both maybe kind of upset. Pretty sure they both don't like Nagy, so I don't think that if Fields is impressive and they continue to win some games, I don't see that changing. Jose's upset, I'm sure, but that's the NFL. Injuries happen. And even if you wanted to bring him slow, which they kind of did that week 1, they only had a few little specific plays and groups set up for him, and that would have been the way to go. But when an injury happens, you got to step it up.
All right, well, that's the Bears. I must admit, I'm looking forward to the Bears game this weekend. I'm not looking forward to the Colts game. I'm going to predict the Colts look just as bad as I thought they were going to look last week. Mr. Williams, I was so disgusted with your Colts bet, but you snuck it out. That hook right there, right? You got to love the hook every once in a while, don't you?
I think I said, like, Colts don't have to win this game. I think they got a good coaching staff. The Rams were overvalued after just destroying the Bears on prime time. And it was a big game for the Colts. And my God, they could have won that game. I mean, what are they doing? First and goal at the 1, and they can't get it in. And then they try a shovel pass later on. So you got 2 stops with the Colts inside the 5, and they come away with 0 points. They lose the game by 3. So, I mean, I still think the Colts, even if they lose this week, I still think the Colts have a chance at the division. So, and this division, from the start, I said this division winner was going to be like 8, 9, maybe 10 wins. And it's the AFC South is wide open now.
Is that your main takeaway after week 2? I've seen the up down play, and my scrappy Houston Texans even looked good for a quarter against the Browns until Tyrod went down.
I know. How good was Tyrod playing? I mean, that sucks for them. And it seems like Culley has those guys playing hard. I still don't think they have enough in the end, and then Jacksonville's just a mess. So, but I mean, the Colts and Titans. The Titans right now are 30th overall in DVOA. It's like a super in-depth metric that the Football Outsiders use. They're 30th right now, and that's based off the schedule. So this defense is still terrible. You have the Colts banged up. I'm just waiting for the Colts to get healthy, get that line going.
Good luck.
Good luck. I still have faith in your Colts, man. The AFC South is wide open.
I don't doubt that the AFC South is wide open, and frankly, that's what has me the most mad about the Colts is that I'm going to have to keep paying attention all year long, no matter how bad the Colts look, because the Titans are just going to turn around and look that bad, and Houston is just never going to run away with anything, even if they end up on top at the end. But we've talked about the AFC South enough. What I wanted to bring up this week was Lamar Jackson. All right, and I'm going to play a little contrarian here. I'm going to go a little bit against the grain. I understand that game was entertaining as all get out, and I understand that Lamar Jackson is a transcendent athlete, and some of the plays that he made on that football field leading the Ravens back, other people can't make. But I want to talk about the position of quarterback in modern day NFL, where I just believe you're going to have to pass to win. We talk about how much the Rams want to throw the ball around the field, how much Tom Brady at 40-some years old is still throwing the ball all around the field. You're going to have to throw, and I just don't know how sustainable the way Lamar plays is over a long period of time, A, and B, I don't know how great it's going to work against defenses that are 100% sold out against, okay, Baltimore, you're not going to run the ball on us. We're not going to worry about all your misdirection, this, that, and the other. We know you're going to run the ball. We dare you to hit us with any shots down the field. And I don't know if I have ultimate confidence in Lamar being able to accurately do that. Mr. Williams, I'll allow you to go first.
Yeah, he has a tough time against good defensive coordinators. That part is evident. Like in 2018 regular season at Kansas City, lost against Steve Spagnuolo. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Steve Spagnuolo has confused Tom Brady in Super Bowls before. So, he gets the benefit of the doubt there. But 2018 in the playoffs versus the Chargers, where they actually won a couple weeks earlier, they lost that game. They only scored 17 points. Who was the defensive coordinator? Gus Bradley was in that game. He's a good defensive mind. 2019, lost to KC again, Steve Spagnuolo. 2019, he did beat McDermott's Bills in Buffalo 24-17, so that's a good one. That's a notch in his bracket there. But 2019 at home versus Tennessee, terrible defense. That was a playoff game. They only scored 12 points. He had 2 picks. I think he just got hyped up. And then last year, 2020, regular season versus Pittsburgh. Baltimore's coming off a bye. Against Tomlin, they lose. Tomlin's a good defensive coach. At New England, lost. Only scored 17 points against Belichick. And then again, versus Tennessee in regular season, lost in OT, under 200 yards passing. Tennessee doesn't have a good defense, so that one's kind of bizarre. He maybe just doesn't play good against the Titans. But then in 2020, for the playoffs, he beat Tennessee in his first playoff win. And if you remember correctly, they acted like they had just won the Super Bowl. in that win. And actually, Harbaugh said that was the most impressive win of his career, where Harbaugh actually has a Super Bowl win.
I was going to say, he's got a ring on while he says it.
I don't understand that, and that's why that was a big reason why I faded Baltimore in the next game in the playoffs at Buffalo, and that's back to McDermott. Lamar only scored 3 points in that game with a crushing red zone interception late in the third quarter in that game. So my theory is, more times than not, Lamar psychs himself up too much in these big games. Like, he is an unbelievable athlete. He can kill it. But it seems like he psychs himself up. He has too much of a chip on his shoulder, it seems like. I hope he gets over it, and maybe this week 2 win over KC will help. Finally get the monkey off his back. But here again, what were they doing after week 2 when they beat the Chiefs? You saw Lamar skipping. Sammy Watkins was like crying. They were hugging. They were so super emotional, and so they might as well be down at Disney World this weekend. They get too high with their highs and then too low with their lows. He has called the Chiefs his kryptonite in the past, which I don't know if you really want to be saying that stuff to the media. So I love Lamar. Lamar has a soft spot in my thinking, in my head, because he's won me a lot of money with the future MVP bet, but I'm with you. I don't know how much this can sustain against really good defensive minds.
Chris, how about you, man? Where do you come down on the whole Lamar thing? I'm sure you were watching that Sunday night game.
Listen, I have loved Lamar since he was playing at Louisville in college. I thought he fit well in at Buffalo, and I'm just going to run down a couple things. And yeah, I do think Kansas City was a monkey on his back. Going into last week, he was 30-8 against all other NFL teams and 0-3 against Kansas City. He finally got Kansas City last week. So he's lost 11 games in his entire NFL career, and he's won over 30. That's pretty good. That's what you want to see. That's the kind of winning percentage you need from a quarterback, consistency like that. But the real reason I really, really enjoy watching him play is it's exciting, and that's what you want in football, especially when it's not a team that you're invested in. You want to see something exciting. That's why Patrick Mahomes is so great to watch, even though we're not Chiefs fans. And he really reminds me of a Randall Cunningham, quarterback who was great in his time. He used
Nintendo superstar Randall Cunningham.
Right? He used his legs when he was younger, but as he grew older, he developed that deep ball. And we all saw what happened late in his career. And I see Lamar being able to do the same type of thing. That's
interesting.
He plays for Baltimore, a team that notoriously runs as much as they pass. And in the short term, that's not going to change. And so you don't need Lamar to do that. But Lamar is going to play football the way he's always played football. And that's going to be running. That's going to be using his legs. That's going to be going out there like a madman and getting those yards. You got to love it.
That's interesting, man. I mean, leave it to the old guy on the podcast to bring up the Randall Cunningham comp, because I hadn't thought of that, but that's really, really good. Maybe he can get a bit more accurate as he goes on in his career, but I would say this. I like exciting as much as the next guy, and I would contend that good old 18, Peyton Manning, new Monday Night Superstar Peyton Manning, all the young kids out there, he used to play quarterback for the Colts. He was pretty good. It was exciting watching him back there, too, and you knew that Peyton was going to be able to throw against almost any defense, and you knew that he was probably going to be back out there for you the next week. So, I don't know. I guess basically what I'm saying here is I'm having my old guy moment and realizing I like my quarterback sitting back there in the pocket and being able to step up in the pocket and just hit receivers on any kind of route. That's what I like. But Chris, you sort of blew my mind with that Randall Cunningham thing there. So with my mind blown, I guess I should just turn it over to the handicapper, Mr. Williams, and get his first pick. Josh, what do you got?
Yeah, before we get to that, my favorite player on Super Tecmo Bowl, Randall Cunningham.
Nice.
I always played with Philly. So yeah, that was a good bring back memory there, Chris. My first bet is that I'm going to a team that has cost me a perfect record so far. We went against the Dolphins in week 1. Now we're going with the Dolphins. We're more so fading the Raiders. We're kind of selling high on the Raiders here. I'll take the Dolphins plus 4.5. I think you can find that on FanDuel. But yeah, all the bettors are jumping off the Dolphins here. You're going to get Miami's best effort after an embarrassing home division loss that wasn't as bad as what the score looked. And teams that have failed to cover by 4 touchdowns or more are 115, 71, and 6 the next week. That's 62%. That's a 19% ROI. And Gruden is just bad as a favorite. After a win, he's only 28 and 38 against the spread. After a multi-game winning streak, Gruden is only 8 and 18 against the spread. That's 31%. I'm just betting on the Raiders not winning 3 games in a row here. And since 03, when you take an underdog off of a shutout from the previous week, those dogs the following week are 38 and 20 against the spread. That's a 66% winning clip. That's a whopping 25% ROI. So all the trends here are pointing towards Miami at plus 4.5. I know Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback here, but what the Raiders like to do on offense, they like to sling it. Miami's secondary is one of the best in the league. Brian Flores will have that team ready to play. And remember, the Raiders went out to Vegas last year, late in the year, won a really tough game out in Vegas. So I like Miami here plus 4.5.
Nice. I like that pick. I'm with you there. You never want to just think that John Gruden has everything figured out. The minute we want to start giving John Gruden praise, things go crazy in Raiderland. So I like that pick an awful lot. What do you got for Chris? We got any props coming out of that one?
Nope.
All right. Mr. Williams, what do you got for pick 2?
All right, this kind of goes along with Chris. What Chris was saying earlier is that he thinks there's more parity in the league. I agree. I'm taking 3 dogs this week. My second one is the WFTs plus 7.5. This line was started out at 9, so there's been some sharp money on the WFTs. They're playing at Buffalo. It's just too many points right here. These coaches are familiar with each other. McDermott coached under Rivera in Carolina. So you've got the WFTs coming off long rest, off that Thursday night win against the Giants. And you've got Buffalo coming off a misleading, like I said before, 35-0 divisional drubbing of Miami. Look, I think the Steelers gave the NFL the blueprint on how to defend Josh Allen. They didn't blitz. It was under 5% in that game. Instead, what they did was rush 4, and they dropped 7 in zone. Why zone is important is because you don't really want to play man and turn your back on Allen because he can kill you with his legs. So they made him be extremely patient, like dinking and dunking the ball down the field. Now, like, what team is better equipped than to only rush 4 in the entire league than the Washington front 4? So, I'll be honest, they haven't played that great recently or at all this year, the defense, but I feel like Rivera challenged them this week in practice with it being a longer week to prepare. The 2 teams that played on Thursday Night Football in Week 1 went 2-0 against the spread off the long rest, and they both looked sharper in that second game. So I'm banking on that for WFTs. And Washington can run the ball in this Buffalo D. Teams that covered by more than 28 points the previous week are 82, 105, and 6. That trend would go against Buffalo here. It's only 44%. And it's been 14 regular season games since Washington has lost by more than 8 points. They tend to play these close games. They're also 7-2 against the spread their last 9 as a dog. And when Rivera is catching 8 or more, he's 6-2-1 against the spread. And road dogs are 13-5 against the spread so far this year. So there's a lot of trends pointing towards Washington in this game. So I'll take 7.5 here at Buffalo.
All right, dogs, you got me intrigued because, I always got my upset underdog special of the week. So we're going to have 4 underdog picks for folks here. It'll be quite interesting. Or maybe your third is going to end up being mine. We will see. Chris, you got any props coming out of this one?
No, not on that one.
All right, Mr. Williams, here we go. Pick 3, another dog. What do you got for us?
All right, I talked this team up last week, and they went out and lost to Chris's Cowboys, but I still have faith in them. I'm taking the Chargers plus 6.5 at Kansas City, and that may sound scary to some, but Kansas City, believe it or not, is 2-11 against the spread in their last 13 games. This D is not good, and this Chargers offense, specifically on 3rd downs and 4th downs, 3rd best in the league. And we know that Kansas City has had a really tough time getting off the field on defense. The Chargers have played in 25 one-possession games since 2019. Them, along like the Washington, they played a lot of close games. And the only team worse in defensive efficiency than the Chiefs is Detroit right now. The Chiefs' run D is dead last in run efficiency. 71% of opponents' runs have graded successfully. And KC has allowed an average of 47 yards per drive. I mean, that's terrible. The Chargers are second in pass rush win rate, so maybe they can get some pressure on Mahomes. And KC is 1-5 against the spread versus the AFC West since the start of 19. Also, Chargers 20-10-2 against the spread as a road dog since the start of 2015. So I have a prop later on in this game. So I think a lot of the trends are pointing towards the Chargers. Remember, last year the Chargers were winning by 8 points in the first game they played against KC. That was the first game Herbert started. They were winning by 8 points, and they had the ball with 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Ended up losing that game in overtime by 3 points. So I like the Chargers here plus 6.5.
All right, if you got a prop coming out of this game, why don't you go ahead and give that to us now?
Yeah, so in that game, I like Herbert under 43.5 passing attempts. Like I said in the first matchup last year, the Chargers D played a too high deep safety look, and they made Mahomes beat them by being patient and completing short passes. I think they're going to do the same thing here. They're going to play like a too high deep like shell defense, and what could happen is Brendan Staley could play almost like using a basketball term here, like a box and one with Derwin James on Travis Kelce, and just keep everything in front of you. Like, they did not let Tyreek Hill beat them deep at all last year. And what that's going to do is that's going to slow the game down. There's going to be long possessions. And, Chargers have a lot of long possessions too. A lot of possession receivers. Keenan Allen dumping the ball off to Austin Eckler. In the first game last year, Herbert only threw 33 passes against the Chiefs. In the second game, he only threw 31. This number is way off here at 43.5 on DK. So I like the under 43.5 on the passing attempts for Herbert.
All right, Chris, why don't you update us real quick on your guys' overall numbers on props and then give us your first prop this week.
Well, Williams is doing well at 500. He's gotten 2 correct and he's missed 2. I got my first W this past week, so I am 1-3. I got a couple different ones. The first one, we're going to go back to the Bears versus Cleveland. Since this is Justin Fields' first start, this was an interesting one that I thought you should take the under on, and it's 216.5 passing yards. Going to Cleveland, that's a solid defense. First game starting, bringing it in quicker than they wanted to. I think they're going to rely heavily on the run. They're definitely better running the ball than they are passing the ball. And even if they do try to pass, like you said, those tackles are bad. Justin may be running for his life a little bit. So I think he will be under that 216.5 yards. On my other one, it's going to Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. These are 2 teams. They are rivals. You have issues on both sides, whether it's Pittsburgh and whether or not Ben Roethlisberger plays or not. Cincinnati is also banged up a lot. These are 2 teams that have not scored a single point in the first quarter of either of their games. And that's why I would take the under for 7.5 total points in the first quarter.
All right, under 7.5 first quarter points total in the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. Mr. Williams, you're second.
All right, I love this one. I hope I'm not jinxing myself here, but I'm going to take Allen Lazard under 30.5 receiving yards. Okay, he's only caught 2 passes all year. Like, he's like the 5th option with the Packers, and the Packers don't really use a bunch of wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers has a condensed passing targets. Most of them go to Adams. He barely missed MVS last week on 2 different deep balls, and you could tell that he was really upset at himself with that. So I expect him to try and get MVS going. Then he passes to Tanyan, and then if you forgot, he's the one who went to management and said, "Hey, we need to get Randall Cobb in here." His old safety blanket. Randall Cobb plays a lot in the slot. That's primarily where he runs his routes. Lazard's routes have come, like 50% have come from the slot, so he's just getting cut out more so there. I don't think Rodgers trusts him at all, and I think this is a really good prop here, under 30.5 receiving yards. You can find that on MGM at -115.
All right, there you have it. We got all the props down. We have Williams' picks for the week down. That leaves only one thing, the Hot Rod Upset Special of the Week. I am 0-2, which is fabulous. I intend to go 0-16 because it's absolutely impossible to pick an underdog every week. But I'm going to give it a shot again here in week 3. Also, if I go 0-16, you should fade me. That's going to be another great thing. I thought an awful lot about going Chargers over the Chiefs, but ultimately I decided to balk on that. Believe it or not, I even gave some thought to Williams' Bears over the Browns because I like Justin Fields going legend style in his first game. But I ultimately decided to land on this. Chris touched on it a little bit, so I won't belabor the point. But give me the Bengals over the Steelers. They're getting 3. That's great. I'm going to do my famous saying that always kills me. Don't even worry about the points. The Bengals aren't going to need them. They're going to beat the Steelers by more than 3.
That's a very good possibility.
I know Joe Burrow's a little banged up. I was looking for more out of Burrow on my fantasy team, but I'm starting to lean towards other quarterbacks now, and I still think Cincinnati can beat Pittsburgh because we don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. I'm not even entirely sure if Ben Roethlisberger is going to finish the year as Pittsburgh's quarterback.
Cincinnati is always playing Pittsburgh well. They always bring their game.
Yeah, and Roethlisberger might not even play this week. I mean, his pec injury seems to be worse than what it is, worse than that they're letting on. And like his average depth of target, I heard was like 3.7 yards. It's really bad.
It's all dink and dunk. Like, he is not throwing it downfield.
The offensive line is terrible. They don't have a real good a backup quarterback in sight. So I can see this. I actually like the under in this game with the struggling offenses. So,
yeah, what was it, like 45.5 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Well, the under can't be classified as an underdog, and this is the Hot Rod underdog pick of the week. So there it is. I will have to send my Hot Rod underdog pick of the week in via text message next week. I will be away. You boys will be in the capable hands of my tag team partner on the wrestling show, the producer of this podcast, Jimmy Jamriska. So he will sub in for me next week as your host and guide through week 4. I'll still have my upset pick for you, though. I'll send that in when I am in Vegas. I'll be putting out some NBA futures, playing some blackjack, visiting a couple of establishments, having some pops, having types of fun out in Vegas. But I'm not going away just yet. I'm going to be here on the other side. We got a special treat for you this week. The Ryder Cup is this weekend. Chris and I love the Ryder Cup, so we thought nothing better than to get our old friend, #original squad, Matt Roberts, back to chop it up about the Ryder Cup, and we do that on the other side. We are back, and we are excited. #original squad. So that means only one thing. Our man from the desert joining us. It's always great to hear his voice. It's 6 o'clock, 6:30-ish where he's at, and not 9:30 where we're taping, but we're still glad to have him. Matt Roberts, hello.
Rod, it's a pleasure to be back. And yes, it is 6:32 p.m. at the moment. Fresh off of dinner and work while you guys are getting ready for bed.
See, exactly. After all of the times where I was so just weirded out by the time difference, I'm finally getting a hold of it. We got you after dinner. We got Chris and I ready for bedtime. Chris is still here. We finished our NFL picks with Mr. Williams, and now we're going to get into another one of my favorite events, but unfortunately it only comes around every other year. We're getting ready to play the 43rd Ryder Cup up at Whistling Straits in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and I love me some Ryder Cup. But Roberts, let's just start here. Let's get the elephant out of the way. The United States is 2-7 in the last 9 Ryder Cups, so why should I believe anything's going to be different this year?
I think with the young guys, and I mean, I know all the guys are young that are playing in this, but you got 6 rookies. You got 6 guys going in here that this is their first time. They know we're on a slide. We're on home soil. We got crowds. We got everything going. I really feel like the U.S. might just run away with this.
Wow, nice. I love that bold talk right off the top. Mr. King, let's bring you in here. We all know that you were around for the original Ryder Cup, so why don't you tell everybody where the first Ryder Cup was and why it's called the Ryder Cup?
Well, it was up in Worcester, Mass. And it's the Ryder Cup because a rich businessman from Europe donated his trophy.
There you go. That's right. Samuel Ryder donated the trophy. It became the Ryder Cup, and it was 1927 in Worcester, Mass. And the entire United States team has 25.5 career Ryder Cup points, and Sergio Garcia, who's just a member of the Europe team, has 25.5 Ryder Cup points, speaking to the difference in experience versus rookies in this year's matchup. We will get to this year's matchup again after I go over Top 5 Ryder Cup moments. I gave the boys a little bit of homework, right? Why is the Ryder Cup special? Why do we love it? What's better to talk about why we love the Ryder Cup and why it's special than to go over some of the things that we remember from it? So let's start with our golf professional, Mr. Roberts. I gave you this homework assignment, and your first moment, your number 5 moment, if you will. Do you not rank them? How do you want to do this?
I know I ranked him for sure. My 5 moment, if we want to start there and work our way up, I don't think would make a lot of people's top 5 Ryder Cup moments, but it's one of those things that you just mentioned is a reason why I like this, why I love golf, why I love events like this. It comes from 2012 at Medina. And that's one Mr. Rory McIlroy kind of getting messed up on his time zones and almost missing his tee time. He's watching TV, getting all the Eastern time zone tee times. He doesn't realize he's in Chicago. He's an hour behind, hour in front. I'm with you. I don't know how time zones work. But he literally showed up to the tee 10 minutes before he's supposed to tee off. No driving range, no putting, no anything like that. And he gets out there and he plays in, the biggest golf event of that year. And it just reminds me of all the times you make a golf trip with your buddies and, hey, we're going this someplace awesome on a weekend. And somebody inevitably calls, hey, man, I'm running late to the tee time. Can you guys wait for me? Like, just to think of that happening.
That's usually me.
So you're the guy I hate and won't invite the next time.
Yeah, I usually show up and they're usually on hole 3.
Yeah, I don't like that. But I think it's just a relatable moment in a huge event that has stuck out in my head for the last 9 or 10 years of just every time it gets brought up, it makes me chuckle and enjoy this tournament even more.
Well, these guys are going out and playing foursomes and 4 balls there, Mr. Roberts, which is what a lot of us guys do on the weekends when we go out with our buddies anyway. So real quick, though, why don't you tell us the difference between when you see these guys are going to go out for what they call alternate shot and then when they go out for what they call just 4 ball?
So alternate shot, the Fridays and Saturdays, all the guys are going to be with a partner. They're going to go out, and the alternate shot's exactly what it sounds like. One partner A hits a shot, partner B goes and hits the next one. Whoever has the lowest score out of the 2 teams, they're going to get a point. When they just go out for the 4 ball, everybody plays their ball all the way through, and the lowest score out of the teammates is going to count for your team. So if I make birdie and you make bogey, obviously the birdie is going to count for our team score. So that's more of probably what you're getting on the weekend with your buddies of going out and cart versus cart, one best ball. This is all match play. I don't know for the people listening if they understand the difference between match play and stroke play, but there's only 1 point for every hole. You're basically, if I win, I only win 1. I don't win by the stroke total like you're normally playing. So that's a little something else special with this event.
Yeah, so Chris, why you hear general wisdom anyway says that Europeans are better at match play and better at team golf a little bit than the United States, and that's why they've had advantage over the United States in recent years. Do you buy that, A, and if you do, why do you think that is?
You almost have to buy it, Rod, because they win a lot. What's the U.S.? 2-7.
2-7 in the last 9. Yeah. Since the calendar turned to 2000, we've only won 2 Ryder Cups.
And I think part of it is because the European side has some absolute killers playing for them over the course of the last 30 years. Whether you're talking Sergio, Westwood, Montgomery, Jose Ozabal.
What was that? Who was that last one?
Yeah, I can't ever pronounce his name.
Jose Marie Olafable.
I threw a Z in there.
Poulter.
Poulter, of course. He was a captain's pick this year, wasn't he? And when you make a captain's pick for a killer like that, that's like, I hope you're right, Roberts, when you say these young guys, these 6 rookies, these 3 guys on their second trip. That's a lot of youth. And you got some absolute murderers on that European side. It's going to be an uphill climb.
I mean, Chris, listen, wait. Have you been watching like serial killer documentaries? What's with the killers and murderers here? Hold on. Let me see if I can weave together what you and Mr. Roberts are saying here. Chris, what I think you're saying is we have guys on the European side that are here for the moment, that are ready to step up and make pressure-packed putts. And Roberts, what I think you're saying is we have young enough guys on this American side that just haven't been there before that hopefully they're just not going to feel any pressure maybe? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I don't necessarily, it's that they don't feel any pressure. I mean, you've got major champions that are on this team that haven't played in a Ryder Cup. And I think we're getting caught up in a little recency bias, of the Europeans kind of taking hold. But you've got top 10 talent on the U.S. that has shown time in and time out that they are nails. I mean, Colin Morikawa, for example. The dude is just absolute nails, and I think these guys want to come out and just show, hey, we're tough, we can handle this just as much. And I like that more than the old dog, hey, I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest of the last 10 times. I think we've got a really good shot.
All right, I like that. We'll finish with more of that there, Mr. King. How about you? What's your number 5 moment?
My number 5 moment is going to go. I'm going to go 1979.
Nice, of course you are.
That's the European expansion. That was the first time that Great Britain and Ireland expanded to allow golfers from the entire European continent. And that has been the biggest change in the Ryder Cup and has drastically altered.
I like that. That's good. It's hard to talk about the Ryder Cup if you don't talk about that one. That's definitely a good number 5. That's
because it's and like what we just talked about, Europe's been on this dominating force as of late. And when we get to my number 4, I'll explain all that a little bit more, but like that is the reason we started getting the Spaniards, the Germans, the Scandinavian golfers that have been so good in the past, and that.
What would we have done had we not got a Bernhard Longer? I mean, honestly,
right?
What would we have done had we not gotten a Bernhard Longer? I'm gonna go back to the olden days as well. Something that I like about the match play format that we haven't talked about because we're kind of framing out how the Ryder Cup works here as we're going along with our moments. I'm going to go all the way back to 1969 and our guy Jack Nicklaus playing in a match with Tony Jacklin. Jack knocks his putt in. All Tony's got to do is knock his 6-footer in, and the United States and Europe are going to tie. And Jack gives him the 6-foot putt and basically walks up to him and says, I wasn't going to give you the chance to miss that. And it's just absolute sportsmanship. It's one of those things that makes the Ryder Cup cool, and it's one of the reasons we love Jack Nicklaus. So it's my number 5 moment.
Yeah, that's a great moment.
It's sportsmanship at its finest, but it is also a tool in match play that can just be a total mind F. I'll try to keep it PG for here.
Attaboy. Thank you.
The idea of the giving putts or not giving putts is my favorite part of match play.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. So that's why I wanted to talk about it there in my number 5 moment. What do you got for your number 4, my friend?
For number 4, I don't really have a moment. I've got a movement. After a few, we brought this up. The U.S. hasn't been great in recent years. The pod system debuted in 2008. It was something to try to compete with the Europeans. Obviously, they live in different territories, so you've got small groups of guys that knew each other. Like you say, a couple guys from Germany, a couple guys from Scandinavia, a couple guys from Ireland. Davis Love comes back and says, I'm tired of losing Ryder Cups, and decides to go with this whole pod system in 2008 and get guys grouped together and smaller, and those small groups work out. Then they have their own vice captain that works with them. They're paired together the whole weekend. You know what you're getting into. And I think that camaraderie and getting those small groups of guys together made a difference and help them break out of the slump and win in 2008.
Nice. I like that. That's good knowledge right there.
Davis Love III is absolutely one of my favorite golfers of all time.
Nice. How about
baby.
that?
I love him. Everything he's done.
I'm so happy to see him get that one major. That's for sure. Mr. King, what do you got it for?
So, number 4, I'm going 1993. Nick Faldo versus Paul Azinger. And the last time the Americans...
95.
Is that 90? Are you sure that's 95? I think that was 93. The last time it was Azinger versus
did.
Faldo, and it was the last time the U.S. won in Europe.
Oh, see, I got the time right before Faldo realized he had cancer, and that I had is 1995.
Yeah, that's 95. 93.
There you go. See, look at that. Zinger. Yeah. Zinger was huge in 93 and 95. That's what we're saying here.
Yeah, right? And that was 2 great golfers in their prime, duking it out all weekend.
I love Zinger.
Right? And of course, that was the last time America won in Europe.
And Roberts, wasn't Faldo like a heel almost? I mean, he was such excuse me, he was such a good golfer, but he was almost a heel. He just wasn't very well liked here when he was dominant.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like Harrison Ford. He played fantastic. He just had that, like, I'm better than you, I'm more handsome than you, I'm European, I'm smug, which I don't think he is in the slightest. I feel like that was just the
He's great
perception
now.
of him at that time. He's been great since then. I know this will sound lame, and I'll say it, but, like, my dad always liked Nick Faldo. And so it's one of those I can remember as a kid growing up and watching him and really enjoying him. And I think that the perception of him was different. But yeah, I'm with you on that. He was kind of a heel.
He certainly was. I'm relating everything to wrestling these days, Mr. Roberts. I'm sorry that I did that to you there. I've been doing it on all the pods. But I'm going to go to something else, too, that I love about the match play dynamic, because I played a little bit of high school golf in my day, and there was always a dynamic of, like, you'd have guys who were just difficult to play with. You'd have to have rules, calls come in all the time. So I'm going to go back to 2008 when Anthony Kim was in a match with Sergio Garcia. Sergio was claiming he couldn't get a good stance because of, like, this stone wall. And then he was forced to show the official why he couldn't get his stance. And Anthony Kim walked by and said, that's a normal stance. And Sergio got his panties all in a bunch because that's what Sergio does. But it's just one of those gamesmanship things that comes up during the Ryder Cup. And I love it. So it's my number 4 moment.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why Sergio's a killer. I mean, he competes. Yeah, he is out there to beat the guy he is playing against, and that's something that I think the Europeans have done better than the Americans.
All right, listen, why don't you just get a European citizenship card at this point, man? What are we talking about here? Goodness, you'll get your number 3 moment in a second. Let's go back to another American, Mr. Roberts. I gotta hope. Come on, bring us away from this European love fest Mr. King's doing here.
I will. I'm gonna take a European love fest to a shot in the European heart, and I gotta think that this is on your guys' list too. It's one of the first Ryder Cups. I vaguely remember watching when it was on. I was a lot younger than Chris, so he probably remembers this better. But it's the war at the shore. I mean, you got the American team showing up in camouflage caps, acting like it's soldiers. I mean, who was it?
91, right? It's
Yeah,
91, right?
It's got a little Kellen Winslow Jr. vibe. I'm a soldier showing up. I like that. And what gets a little, and I don't know how many people deep dive or go into this, like, that was an absolute battle. The war at the shore is a perfect explanation of it. You've got a shore course, another Pete Dye course at Kiowa, and then you've got...
You're always shouting out your guy Pete every time you come on this podcast.
I love Pete. I love his courses. He's my favorite designer. I've had the pleasure of meeting him before. He's a gentleman and a scholar. I loved it. And you get down to where only one other time this had happened in the Ryder Cup. It's the last singles match on Sunday on 18 to settle it. And you have
last
a little
putt on the last hole.
We're missing out on some controversy on that hole too. Hale Irwin absolutely tugs a drive on 18 that mysteriously finds the fairway. It's come out kind of in the last couple weeks, months, years, whatever, that supposedly the ball hit a staffer of the Ryder Cup in the back and bounced out of the fairway. She never admitted it till recently because she didn't want to be part of the story. You've got guys on the European team saying American fans threw it back in the fairway.
They're always complaining about American fans, so they've lost their credibility on that one.
True, but you run down and then, Hale Irwin barely makes bogey and he thinks, hey, I just lost the Ryder Cup. Bernard Langer's got a 6 foot. Bernard Langer's been automatic since 1905. And he misses a 6-footer.
Right?
I loved it. I loved every minute of
Yeah,
it.
it was great. It's probably the best as a whole, full team Ryder Cup moment.
I totally agree with you.
It's from start to finish the best in my opinion.
I've got another moment from another Ryder Cup higher, but you're right, man. Start to finish, like, just absolute drama. Nothing was quite on 91 War at the Shore. I love it. That's a great moment.
and
To put it at number 3, I'm excited to see what you got at 2 and 1, Mr. Roberts. And this is why you're our golf professional.
Thanks,
And if you have a 6-foot putt that you absolutely need to make, and it's the 90s.
Which you're not coming anywhere close to making, by the way. I love that this is your take.
Yeah, but you would get Bernard Langer to make that putt. Like, he was automatic.
Yeah, you would take him or Tiger to make a 6-footer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you would not take you, Mr. King, but we will take you to get your number 3 moment. What do you got?
My number 3 comes from 2006. Darren Clark.
Love it.
Right?
It's on my list as well.
Yeah, he came in. He was a captain's pick. He had just lost his wife to cancer. One of the last things she had said to him, that if you do get picked for a captain's pick, you need to go play. And so They asked him, he went and played, and he won every single one of his matches that weekend. It was a fantastic story. I know he's European, and I'll get more grief for this, but that was a great moment.
No, he's
That's
not,
a great
not for
story.
Darren Clark. Not for Darren Clark.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Good stuff.
Live
Absolutely. Listen,
TV,
say
everything.
no more, man. The guy's wife died. He fulfilled her wish, played well. Say no more. It's movie stuff, right? And Mr. Roberts, you've shouted out Darren Clark before. I know you've always been a fan.
Yeah, he's the everyman. He's had his struggles with things. He's played bad. He's played well. He's won a major. He's been at the top. He's been at the bottom. That's just like you said it the best. It's movie stuff. You can't make it up.
All right, I am on to my number 3 moment. And you know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to make something else that I love because it brings up my guy Lefty, all right? It makes reference to the pod system, which Mr. Roberts explained to us so well. And I'm going to go to 2014 when Phil absolutely just bashes Tom Watson, golf royalty, for not following the 08 strategy and all of the things that they had set up to be successful in the Ryder Cup. And then they created the task force, which they now have implemented to even try to improve their chances at the Ryder Cup. So that's my moment, 2014. Phil not being afraid to trash Tom Watson, who's literally 2 seats away from him. You got to love Lefty.
Yeah, he doesn't hold anything back, does he?
No, not at all. He just went after the USGA and PGA 2 months ago about driver length. He will share his feelings. That's why he's the best.
Yeah. Mr. Roberts, speaking of the best, not quite the best, though, your second best. We're ready for your number 2 moment.
My number 2 moment is I think almost a turning point in Ryder Cups for us in the last 30 years, where you're starting to get the Europeans already chirping. I hope the fans aren't rude. I hope all this. And it's 1999 at Brookline. The absolute peak of the ugliest golf fashion I've ever seen at a Ryder Cup.
Oh, those shirts are so hideous.
The shirts are bad with the framed pictures on them. You got David Duval running around the back with his M-frame Oakley's on. It just was a bad look. But one of my favorite moments is Justin Leonard and your boy, Jose Maria Olazabal, are battling. And Justin Leonard's got probably a 40, 45-foot putt nobody in the world thinks he's going to make, and he drains it. And the U.S. team, the U.S. fans go absolutely bonkers, run on the green before Jose's had a chance to make his putt, stomp it through his line. It's just one of those moments you look back and you see that what it means to those guys. And that one just sticks out, almost the top for me.
Nice. All right, that was going to be my number 1 was Leonard's 40-foot bomb, but I got another way I can actually tie that one in still yet. So that's good. I like that being your number 2. Chris, what do you got at 2?
My number 2 was the War by the Shore.
Okay, nice. All right, then we can move on to my number 2. My number 2 is going to be, again, I spoke to my love of wrestling heels these days, so I'm going to go back to 2014, and I also love that Patrick Reed was 3-0-1 in that and just absolutely angered every single European every single time that he went out and played. I just absolutely love that Ric Flair energy that Patrick Reed was bringing in that tournament, so he's my number 2.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Roberts, what do you have as your number 1 best Ryder Cup moment?
For me, watching this, being involved, I have never made a case for myself loving one of the individuals involved in this. I've been outspoken. I don't care for the guy. It's someone you just mentioned. But my favorite Ryder Cup moment I've ever had is watching Patrick Reed and Rory McIlroy play their singles match in 2016.
Yes.
It was fantastic golf. It was gamesmanship. It was cockiness. I actually went back and watched that whole match about 3 or 4 days ago. And watching those guys fired up, getting the crowd fired up, but they still respected each other. It was so emotional and so crazy and not what you see in a typical golf event. But there was that still, hey, we're walking off the green, we're bumping fists, we're shaking hands, we're laughing. But the part that sticks out even the best to me of that moment is when Rory's got like a, 50, 60-footer coming uphill, and there's an interview with Patrick Reed, and he says, I looked over my caddy and I said, he's going to make this. It's match play. You always have to expect it. And sure enough, Rory makes it, gets a shush the crowd. He's booing him, putting his finger up, all this. And Reed's got like a 35-footer, and he drains it and looks at Rory and gives him the Dikembe Mutombo. Not today. They have
that is a great moment. I remember that vividly. And he does the little finger way, not to my house.
Yeah, and then they walk off and they bump knuckles and go on to the next hole and keep going. And I think that's the biggest thing that shows Ryder Cup passion, excitement, and golf needs it. They need more events like this. They need something to get the people going, as Will Smith would say, or Will Ferrell would say. Sorry.
Get the people going. Speaking of get the people going, Mr. King, your number one moment that gets you going the most. What is it?
It's the 99 comeback on the final day. I know the Europeans.
That was my number one as well. That was my number one, but I even have a different quote if you don't bring it up that I'll bring for mine. Go ahead.
And I know the Europeans have had theirs recently. What was it, 5 years ago? They came back on the final day essentially from an almost insurmountable deficit. But when we were able to do that in 99, ugly shirts and all, and I don't care how the Europeans felt at the end of that. When he sinks that 45-footer and it's not that they're worried about or trying to mess up the Europeans. They are just ecstatic, and it's pure, unadulterated joy. And you see that so much in the Ryder Cup on both sides, really, when your team makes that last putt or wins that last hole on the final day to finish a point up and get the cup back. Like, you see the emotion on all those players joining together as a team and celebrating. And the celebrations are so much more enjoyable as a fan, considering what you normally see on a normal, weekend stroke match play or whatever.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorites. Let's not forget that Ben Crenshaw told everybody on Saturday night when he was getting grilled with his team down 10-6 that he just had a strange feeling that I'm a big believer in fate, and I got a good feeling about this. And so they ended up coming back. It was absolutely amazing. Loved it. I was 19 years old, living in Martin Street down in Muncie, Indiana, with a couple of guys that knew nothing about golf. And by the end of that thing happening, Steve Bayer and Nick Babcock were sitting down at the couch with me, asking what the Ryder Cup was, all in on the moment, chanting USA, and it's just wonderful. I loved it. And so, Mr. Roberts, that leads me to this question for you. Is the Ryder Cup more about match play, or is there a little bit of jingoism in there, you think, that makes it extra special?
A little bit of what?
Little jingoism, right? United States versus a foreign country.
I think there's a lot of that. I mean, just like when you get the Olympics or the World Cup or something like it's USA versus everyone else for the most part. But the match play format, the team format, I think all of that's just a real special mixture to get people, get the people going.
Right. All right. And that said, here we go. My question for you about this current U.S. team. You talk about we don't have some of the most experienced guys, but you tell me, you swear there's a man who actually is named Harris English and another one named Daniel Berger. These are actual real PGA Tour golfers.
They are real, and they are really good.
All right. So we're expecting things out of them. These aren't going to be the guys that end up not playing in too many of the four-ball matches.
You may not see them as much as the other guys. But I think they're going to try to do a good job of a task force / pod system of getting guys who are comfortable with each other playing. So some of these guys that are new together might play together and kind of feed off of that. It's me and you, and it's our first time. Let's do it together, which I think is good for us.
All right, I like that. So, Mr. King, who are you looking for big things out of? Who do you think is the leader of the clubhouse of this team? Because, quite frankly, a lot that you hear in the lead up to this is that the U.S. could sort of fall apart as a team because we of course have Bryson DeChambeau and Koepka in the same locker room here. So, who's going to emerge as the leader? You're always big on chemistry on this podcast.
Yeah, I did see something, though, today. Brooks was saying that there may be something big coming down the line with him and Bryson. I don't know what it's going to be, but for your sake, I hope it's a tag team match versus the Paul brothers.
There we go.
All right.
I don't know about the Paul brothers, but I'm in for a tag team match.
I really want to see Morikawa really step up and just be the guy that's consistent. I mean, we all know he can flat out play. He is, like Robert said earlier, just tough as nails and ice cold out on the course. I really expect him to play well.
Mr. Roberts, same question to you. Who's going to be the leader of this team, or do you think it's actually sort of Steve Stricker? Is he going to be kind of a hands-on captain, or is Mr. King right that we got to look to Colin Morikawa here because he's the hottest golfer, as so to speak?
I think Stricker is in a great space to be, quote unquote, an emotional leader. I think all the guys playing there respect him for what he's done on tour, what he's been able to do for the U.S. team, making some tough decisions. But I look at guys like Justin Thomas, who might be the most fired up golfer when he's rolling in an event like this, a la Sergio. I look for him. I look for Spieth. And I think those two guys who are, pretty much the face of the new-ish generation in golf. They've been around for a while now. I can't really say new. But I look at those guys to go out and set the tone, play well early. And once they do that, it takes a little pressure off the guys to, feel like they have to do it all behind them.
Now, I'm going to bring out two other guys here that we talk about an awful lot. Dustin Johnson, we sort of talk about how sometimes he doesn't come through in the clutch. So is that why we haven't really mentioned his name here? We're not necessarily sure if the nerves of this event or if Dustin Johnson also kind of an aloof dude, not necessarily sure if he buys into all the Ryder Cup. So is that maybe why we haven't brought him up here so far?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think he's one of those guys that's even-keeled that this event doesn't get to. I think he's one of those, I hit a good shot, great. I hit a bad shot, I'll hit a good one next. So I think if they win, he's going to be the first guy at the champagne line, maybe maybe enjoying some party favors. But I don't think this event has to fire him up. I think he's going to go out no matter what and just play his game.
How do we think a guy like DeChambeau, who just is, he's a powder keg at times, how do we think this guy's going to do in this type of event?
I hope he hits his first tee ball well.
That's a very good bellwether for him, isn't it? So, Mr. King, you've talked about these European killers, all right? So we're talking John Rahm, we're talking Fairway Jesus, Tommy Fleetwood, we're talking Rory, right? We're talking Paul Casey, Lee Westwood, Sergio, Paul Lawrie, Ian Poulter. I mean, these are all guys that you're talking about, right? So you're expecting the Europeans to win the Ryder Cup, I guess, here, right? Speaking of heel, you're just going to go heel right now and predict Europe wins, right?
I think so. I think it's going to be close. I think the X factor is going to be a guy named Victor Hovland.
Okay.
He is a young guy. He is a rookie for that European side, but that dude was playing lights out. I think that's the X factor. I think he wins his match on Sunday, and that puts the Europeans over.
All right, Mr. Roberts, I was just about to get there. We know that Ryder Cups basically is the U.S. just try to keep it close. Every team just tries to keep it close, right? Don't get blown out in the team format, and it comes down to singles day. Who do you look for to be, because we got to have some of our best golfers at the back end, right? I mean, that's what they're going to do, no? Or are they going to put their best golfers out front? Which way do you think they're going to go?
Depends how Friday and Saturday go. There's a lot of strategy of when you send your guys out. If you think you're going to kind of, I don't want to say run away with it, but if you're in good shape, you're probably going to put your guys out towards the end, give one of those guys a chance to close it out. But if you need points on a Sunday morning, you might send some A players out there early.
So who are your A players? Who are you looking for to score the most points for this U.S. team?
Justin Thomas.
Nice. Okay, I like that.
I just think he lives for this. I think he's one of those guys that will feed off the crowd. He'll feed off the environment, the event more than anyone on the U.S. team. And if he gets out and gets rolling on a Friday, watch out. I think he's primed to do some damage.
I like my guy Tony Finau in the team competitions, right? Something about Tony just says great teammate, right? Like just rock solid dude, like good teammate. I like Tony Finau scoring some points on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I think he'll be good in the 4-ball and alternate shot, especially.
All right. Well, there we go. So we got Friday at 8 a.m. Coverage kicks off on the Golf Channel, and then it switches over to NBC. Then 1:45, you'll get the afternoon pairings both on Friday and Saturday. And then at noon on Sunday, we get all of the singles matches to decide the 43rd Ryder Cup. Mr. Roberts, thank you so very much for joining us, my friend. I do appreciate it, and I know you are looking forward to the Ryder Cup just like I am.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, and I'll talk about this stuff all day long.
All right, my friend. Well, we will get you back on here soon enough. You stay safe out there in the Arizona sunshine. Mr. King, as always, the final word will go to you after I say one quick plug here. Make sure you check out Jimmy and I's wrestling podcast on Mondays. Big things happening in both AEW and WWE right now. Big pay-per-view coming up. Lots of stuff to listen to on the wrestling show, so check that out on Mondays. Mr. King, final word to you.
Goodbye, Internet.